up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today we're asking the essential question: should DC's Titans be in the Arrowverse? DC is coming out with their own streaming service in 2018. One of the shows debuting on that streaming service is Titans. Should Titans be a part of the Arrowverse on the CW? It might be a little bit difficult, but we still have to ask the question because they haven't answered the question as to whether or not there'll be some unity with Titans and all the shows in the Arrowverse. DeepBoyce, what we gonna do?
Now, first and foremost, the most obvious reason why it would be dope for Titans to be part of the Arrowverse is for those crossovers, baby.
Crossovers, baby.
I mean, listen, people complain about superhero fatigue, but we all know, even those of us that complain that are superhero fans of the movies and the TV shows, we all go nuts when we see the screen full of superheroes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, last Arrowverse crossover against the Dominators, you had a whole team of people there.
True.
Whole slew, Team Arrow, Team Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, etc., and Supergirl. Including
Citizen Steel in his whack-ass costume.
That's your boy, though.
Sorry, I just had to stick that jab in there, man. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But imagine you throw into the mix Dick Grayson, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, Hawk and Dove. That's all.
That would be dope.
I mean,
that would be kind of hot.
That'd be budget breaking right there in terms of a fight scene with all those people in there. Or maybe they could, the Arrowverse could have its own version of a Civil War. I mean, that's getting a little crazy. But
yeah, that would be insane.
They kind of did that, didn't they? In the Dominators crossover. Where they had villains fighting against heroes fighting against each other, because I guess they were.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. It wasn't like a difference of ideology. It was more that they were under control of each other, of the Dominators. So and they were fighting each other. Yeah, you're right about that.
Now in terms of less crazy ideas, you don't have to do in crossovers like week-long crossovers for all of the shows.
Yeah, I don't even think that would work logistically.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably better with the current slew of Arrowverse shows. If maybe they, tone it down a little bit, make these major crossovers more special.
Yeah.
But you could have a Titans crossover with Arrow. Oliver Queen teaming up with Dick Grayson. Teaming up with Deathstroke. Or throwing Deathstroke into the mix. Because they're both, that's a villain of those two characters at this point. You know, you could have, the Titans could work with Supergirl. That's the fit right there. They got Starfire, they got Raven, they got Beast Boy, Dick Grayson.
Definitely. I mean, we could also have that cross-pollination in the opposite direction. Now, you're talking about bringing over the Titans characters, because let's be honest, we look at the Titans roster and we like some of the characters that they've introduced so far. Like, I'm a huge Nightwing fan. We love Coriander. Yeah. We love Raven. We love Hawk and Dove. It would be dope to see them come on one of the Arrowverse shows. But the Arrowverse has been going on for years now, man. Yeah. Arrow's is going to have his 6th season this year. So you've literally got 6 years of character building. Why not take a show take a character that's been introduced in one of the Arrow shows, drop them over in Titans, man?
Absolutely.
And we're not even talking about Stephen Amell showing up as Green Arrow on Titans, which would be super dope. That would be doper than dope. Or Barry Allen rolling over to Titans. We're talking about people like Roy Harper, right? As Arsenal. Roy Harper, Colton Haynes is not a regular in the Arrowverse currently, although he's going to be returning to the Arrowverse. But, he's somebody who maybe doesn't want to have a dedicated contract with the DC shows right now, but he could show up as Roy Harper in that show, whether it be for a crossover episode or maybe something that, allows for a bigger role down the road. I mean, the biggest one that y'all are thinking of when you think of the Titans, man, you gotta be thinking of Manu Bennett playing Deathstroke.
Yes, sir.
Having already been introduced in the Arrowverse via Arrow, what if he popped over to Titans and he played Deathstroke over there? That would be dope.
Yep.
That would be dope because we already have a basis for this character. We already have a storyline for this character. And that being said, you would definitely still have to introduce some, ideas that you were introduced in Arrowverse into Titans, some minor things about his character. But you don't necessarily have to go into his whole damn backstory. You know what I'm saying? But you could bring in that character and you would know that he has this history prior to. You know, there could be some cool references where he talks about maybe his time on Leon Yu or something along those lines. I mean, another character that I would love to see more. Please give me more. Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash.
Oh.
Fantastic character. Super underused in season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, don't even get me started on his appearance in Legends of Tomorrow because I felt like he was great throughout the season. But the way they had it at the end of the season, my man brought like 50 time remnants and somehow got defeated. Like, no problem. When he could have just killed the Legends, like, straight up. You got 50 of yourself there. You're super fast. Come on, Reverse Flash. Get the job done. But characters like that, you know, even like smaller characters, you know, like villains who have appeared that, you know, maybe we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, this is the first one that came to mind. I don't necessarily care too much for this character, but like something like Cupid popping up over on Titans, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you could totally see her having an attraction to Nightwing because Nightwing's the ladies' man. Yeah. Like, crossovers is probably the biggest thing, the thing that's most intriguing about you know, the Arrowverse and the Titans universe crossing over. But there are some issues with having them be part of the same universe, and that would be how much connectivity you decide to have. Now, one problem we've kind of seen with the Arrowverse is that, like, for example, Supergirl. They literally were like, yo, Supergirl, we keeping you on a separate Earth because your mere existence interferes with the notion of Green Arrow holding down Star City by himself and not asking your ass for help. They literally put her on another planet. Yeah. They were like, yo, we don't want to have this be an issue going forward. And, you know, part of that is also an issue with continuity. Like, in season 2 of Supergirl, in the season finale, you saw the Daxamites invading National City, and that whole invasion, like, could you not picture if they were part of the same Earth as Flash and Arrow? Could you not imagine them like just calling them Green Arrow and Flash and helping them take out the Daxamites? So that threat just wouldn't have been as serious. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I think having too much integration with Titans could actually hurt Titans because you don't want to have to worry about the continuity of the Arrowverse. There's also the notion that you don't even know what the schedule is going to be like for Titans on the DC streaming service, because for all we know, it could be like Marvel Netflix where the episodes are dropping in one shot, or it could be a situation where they're dropping on a week-to-week basis. We don't know. Yeah. I'm thinking it's going to be one shot, but that's just a guess.
And isn't Jeff Johns kind of helming this? Isn't he the kind of in charge of this?
Yes, he is going to be writing this show.
Because, I mean, Jeff Johns, he's that's the big boss right there. And he's
prolific, man.
And he's also more on the comic book end of things, as well as the movie end of things. You know, I think Guggenheim and everyone else, they're more TV people. They've made TV shows, while Jeff Johns has actually made comic books, and he's overseeing the movies, which kind of brings up an interesting question. Would Titans be tied to the movies? I mean, I guess the Nightwing movie and the Nightwing in Titans are not the same character. Or
that's another question.
Maybe that Dick Grayson is the younger version of the one that's going to be in the movies. I don't know.
Yeah, because the thing about it is, you know, that's a good point. We don't really know that. I mean, it seems to be right now that Chris McKay, who's going to be directing the Nightwing movie, has not casted as Nightwing. Mm-hmm. And we already know Brenton Thwaits has been casted to play Nightwing in Titans. You know I'm not going to be able to say that name twice and not get it wrong, DeepBoyce, so I'm not falling in that pit again. Okay, it's Brenton Thwaits, man. I said it.
Can you say
and I got it right twice.
What about 3 times, though?
No, I ain't getting it 3 times, man. No way. No 3 times, my dude. But we haven't heard anything about him being associated with the Nightwing movie, so I would think that, you know, it's going to be different. You know, the question of Titans being by itself, I think, becomes a little bit more plausible when I also think of what I'm calling the Batman conundrum. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Batman is inherently tied to Dick Grayson. Yeah. Okay, you can't. It's going to be acknowledged that Dick Grayson was Robin, and that he's no longer Robin. He's become Nightwing in the Titans show. Now the problem is, if Batman is acknowledged or even makes an appearance in Titans, I feel like they've kind of strayed away from having Batman even be a thing in the Arrowverse. There have been a couple mentions, you know, and particularly in Supergirl, There was a point where Wynn was talking to Jimmy Olsen, and he mentioned Superman's like best friend, you know, pointy ears, whatever, in Gotham. You know, he didn't say Gotham, but he was referencing Bruce Wayne. There was a time where they were thinking of in Arrow, they were thinking of nicknames for Felicity, and somebody said Oracle, and Oliver was like, "Oh, I think that's taken," referring to Oracle, Batgirl, Batman, Bat Family character. But I think that making the Arrowverse and Titans connect would also have to bring in the idea that there is a Batman somewhere out there in the Arrowverse. And I don't even think I think they can honestly gloss over that, but I think people would continually ask to see Batman on the Arrowverse, which maybe people are asking, but I don't think it's something that has bugged the Arrowverse or bogged it down in any way. I think people are pretty much aware that Batman most likely won't be appearing in the Arrowverse anytime soon, even though we want to see it. So I think, you know, the issue with Batman and them wanting, I know they want DCEU to have, you know, the Batman. They've also got a young Batman over on Gotham. You know, they're doing some crazy stuff over there with that. You know, I'm just looking at that math. So I feel like the Batman conundrum is like, are they going to introduce the notion of another Batman and allow that idea to be carried over into the Arrowverse? I don't know. Maybe they'll separate it where, you know, they still have those crossovers we described earlier, where, you know, characters who've portrayed, you know, respective characters in the Arrowverse can come over to Titans, but not necessarily have the storylines be 100% tied together like they currently are. But I feel like the idea of Batman looms over all these shows and how they would handle that. What do you think?
True. I mean, that's probably oddly enough, the biggest thing keeping Titans from being associated with any other show. Because there is no Dick Grayson without a Batman. I really doubt that in this Titans show they're going to do some sort of Dick Grayson or something before he meets Batman. I mean, that would be very odd and very weird.
No way.
Batman is, you know, like some sort of weird Gotham situation where they do some weird stuff with the mythos. But Batman is going to be a presence in this some way, somehow. Maybe they mention him a few times. Maybe they don't even say Batman. They just say, oh, you know, your guy, your mentor, your father figure, whatever the heck, the Dark Knight, the blah, blah, blah. Or maybe he actually is. I mean, I thought it was a pretty big deal that they actually had Superman as Supergirl. I did not really see that coming. I think that was a pretty big deal. So I would not be surprised if they somehow get a Batman for the Titans show, which obviously throws a wrench in the cogs for this connecting with any other show. At least, you know, maybe it could connect with Black Lightning, because it doesn't seem like Black Lightning it was not confirmed to connect with anything else. There's a possibility that could connect because there'd be less entanglement, and really the only way I think it could connect to the Arrowverse is if it's connected to Supergirl. Since, like you said, they confirmed Batman, or they alluded to Batman. They have Superman. This is not the same place as the Flash and Arrow, but it is technically part of the Arrowverse because they travel through dimensions. So maybe there's a small chance of that, but I think that would be more likely. Like Black Lightning, more likelier than that. Point. Supergirl after that, and then the least likely scenarios is Titans actually being part of the Arrowverse, which I personally feel like it's just not really going to be the case. You know, and I kind of mentioned that there might be a Titans verse. I don't think that's that far fetched, because this Titans show was supposed to be on TNT. They shelved that, then they brought it up again, and it's going to exclusively be on the DC streaming service, which they have plans for that streaming service to have a lot of other content. So what's to say that they won't make new shows? Yeah,
that was actually reported. You know, whether or not they didn't actually outright come and say it, but there were a number of outlets reporting that the actors cast for Hawk and Dove have options in their contract to basically star in their own show, a spin-off series, because Hawk and Dove are actually recurring characters in Titans. They haven't been listed as starring cast members like Nightwing is.
Yeah.
So there is an option for them to be stars in their own show. So the idea of a Titans verse, as you say, is plausible. Yeah. And to be honest with you, you know, when you, for example, let's take a look at like Marvel Netflix, right? This is actually a perfect example. You look at Marvel Netflix and what they got going on there, and you look at what they got going on in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We want some connectivity between those two things, but you really haven't seen it that much. But Marvel Netflix kind of has their own thing going on where, the characters kind of weave in and out of their shows. Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and the Defenders, of course. And they kind of just stay to that Marvel Netflix universe. And you might see that with the Titans verse on the DC streaming service. Also, DC has been more open to saying, all right, we're not going to be necessarily focusing on connectivity. There's a multiverse out there. They've openly expressed that they are, embracing the idea of a multiverse, which allows them to do whatever they damn well please with their characters, essentially. Yeah. Now, whether or not we get to see like a Batman or something in the Titans verse, I mean, I have no clue. I mean, there's always been this like weird rumor that DC doesn't want like two of their characters appearing on small screen, one on the silver screen in movies. But obviously that's going to be negated with The Flash because, The Flash is going to be in Justice League, this year. And obviously The Flash season 4 is still ongoing. But, and then, another example you might use is Superman. But there's a little thing with Superman is currently with Superman appearing on Supergirl or having appeared on Supergirl, Henry Cavill's Superman has been dead in the movie scene. So technically, there's a reason. There's a little loophole there because part of the rumor is not just that they don't want two of their characters appearing on TV and movies, but also they're protecting their big three: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. So, people might argue like, "Oh, we're seeing Batman on Gotham," but that ain't Batman. I don't care what anybody says. That ain't Batman. But I like the idea of a Timeverse. And I like the idea of minor Arrowverse integration, which is taking characters who have played characters on the Arrowverse but are no longer in the Arrowverse actively and putting them on Titans, letting them have their own adventures there. And, if they come back to the Arrowverse for whatever, fine. Like, I really and truly, Roy Harper, Manu Bennett, those are really the two characters I want to see. Roy Harper and Deathstroke, I should say. Not Manu Bennett. But Manu Bennett, to me, and Deathstroke are one and the same. But any final words, DeepBoyce, before we leave this to the leaguers and see what they have to say?
Listen, I'm just down and excited for more dope content, both DC and Marvel. And, hopefully this Titans show does us Teen Titans fans justice. We got Teen Titans, we had Young Justice, and now we're probably going to get the Titans TV show helmed over by, looked over by Jeff Johns, and hopefully it's dope. I know someone probably out there screaming Teen Titans Go, but I don't know what that is, so I'm sorry.
I don't know what Teen Titans Go either. That doesn't exist to me, y'all. But one last thing I got to say is DC streaming service, DC Comics, Warner Brothers, y'all need to make sure that price point is right. That price point for that streaming service needs to be right, and I need to have the content to support it so that it is right.
Make it right, make it ripe.
Make it right, make it right. With that being said, leaguers, let us know what you think about Titans being in the Arrowverse. Do you want it in the Arrowverse? Do you not want it in the Arrowverse? Do you like any of the ideas we had in regards to integration with the Arrowverse and the Titansverse? What other shows would you like DC to add to their streaming service? I mean, that's something that we would love to do a video on. I mean, talking about what characters from DC should get shows on the DC streaming service. But that being said, support the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you could be up to date with the latest and greatest coming from the Spectacular Spoiler League. And drop us a like on that like button there so we can spread out this video to the people out there and, recruit some people to the league. That being said, we getting on out of here. We're going to hop in the time machine, jump over to 2018, and go watch us some Young Justice Season 3. We'll see you guys on the next one.